Awesome, guys. So I'm here with Ordinal Gazette. He's one of the best people in the space, in the Ordinal space itself. I've learned so much from him. He has crazy stuff going on. He's going to talk to us about that, his journey and stuff. With that said, Ordinal Gazette, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. The sun is shining. Ordinals, despite the 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 constant debate, which we won't get into today.
We,
Everything is good. Everyone's still building, and I am still here to write and provide content.
I love that. I love that. And the debate, it's very definitely raging on this entire week. There's so many things going on, moving parts with that, but it's interesting. It's very interesting to hear like the different sort of debates, opinions on this. And I think honestly, we've handled this very well in terms of how to discuss and like provide a platform and kind of create discourse around this. So like props to the community for that. But I've been wanting to meet up with you. I know you have an amazing project there. One of the things I love talking about is sort of like the founders and their journey. And I know you have so many things cooking up. So with that being said, like, I guess the first question I'll ask you, Gazette, is like, what brought you to the Orno space and why did you like decide the Orno space is a space to stay at?
It's really funny. There were actually influencers that had brought me in. I had read, something from a Ethereum community member. It was actually through Neo Tokyo, which, they've got a newsletter and people involved in their communities. But I saw one day on a Twitter thread, it was this guy that was saying, I don't know if these will last. I don't know if they're legitimate, but there's people in Discord that say, send us some Bitcoin and we'll, send you an ordinal to your taproot. So I had jumped in. It was the last week of February,
Mhm.
and I couldn't find any of the sub 10K projects that hadn't minted. And that was the hype around the time. But one of them that I found was one called Ordinal Apes, and it was really the only one that I could get into. Um, Sort of the first Yuga knockoff. And I said, screw it. I went ahead and I minted one and kind of sat on it for about 2 months, and then when April came around, I got a wild hair and jumped back into the Twitter space. So from there, it was really sort of interesting because
Mhm.
the tech sort of caught up to the inscription numbers, and we had exciting things like recursion, and all of the fun things in between, fine art,
Mhm.
rare stats were just emerging, and it was one of those things where I was like, this deserves a little bit more examination, and I ended up starting a newsletter based on that, to sort of educate people because information, as you probably know too, was a really scarce commodity.
Yeah.
And unless you were surfing around discords or uh, you know just knew a guy that knew a guy, like information was impossible to find. So that's why I sort of started my newsletter, and that led me to all sorts of other things. I'm a founder in two projects now, and I'm really just loving the space.
100%. And I'm sharing the screen right now for anyone listening and watching. This is Ordinal Gazette. We'll link his Twitter account, but this is Twitter account here. And one of the things I love about you is like, I've seen your newsletter itself and like sort of the content you produce. It's so good. It's really good. If you guys haven't given it a read, please do subscribe to his newsletter. It's right here, and of course the links will be here. But like the way you break things down is perfect. Like big commendable right there. And that's what we need. We need education on this too. Like I realize there's a gap there, like sort of educational gap, and I think what you're doing there is everything. But like kind of guide us through like the newsletter itself, and where do you see that going?
I really appreciate it. I started doing newsletters and more of a blog format because I enjoy to read.
Mhm.
Reading to me it's a lot of fun, and if you can make something that captivates an audience, it's
Mhm.
great. And there's plenty of good people doing threads and short form. Like, I absolutely love your threads. I think that
Thank you.
that's fantastic. But for me, I found my niche and a little bit of more long form content. Sort of a deep dive style. So what I'll typically do is I'll find a project that is doing something a little bit different or doing something that I find to be fascinating or revolutionary, and I'll go to their Discord and their Twitter, and I will go as far back as I can in their tweets and as far back in the Discord announcements as I can go. And I basically start from square one, and pretend, and not really just pretend, but I'm actually am a new reader, a new consumer into the project. So I try to write from the perspective of someone that has all of the information, but I do all the research and it sort of takes out the guessing game, for people that want to read. So that's really what my focus has primarily been on. I tried to do more of a newsletter format where I covered multiple things, but it just got to be too much because it usually takes me anywhere from 1 to 2 days
Hmm.
to do the research, to write the article. I do all of my own images in Photoshop. I'll crop things to be right. If I can't find an image, I'll even splice some together and make collages with content. Like Satributes is a good example. If you look through my article on that project, there's a couple of images that I actually had to manually go through and make images. And I'll use Midjourney or AI blocks, things like that as well. But it's labor intensive, so I've just focused on one project at a time. Um, I'm hoping to get back to that here soon. I actually lost my laptop
Oh,
to TSA and Norway. So I've been without a laptop. I've had like no internet. So the past 3 weeks it's been sort of dead for me. So I'm working on that this weekend and hopefully getting back on my feet.
wait, what's the story there? Why did you take your laptop? What was the issue?
So I uh I actually forgot it in the bin. I
Oh,
goofed and I
oh
forgot
no,
it in the bin. And
no.
I've tried to contact the airport for the past
Uh,
week or so and just nothing. Everything's sent back in Norwegian, and I haven't been able to get a claim, and I'm just like I can't believe I did it. But fortunately, laptops where I'm based now are pretty cheap. And I had a Chromebook, so I'm not too unhappy about it. I'll upgrade to Windows and I'll
gotcha.
be back on my feet.
Gotcha. Hey, it happens to the best of us. I've lost so many things in the airport too. I can't even begin to count. But yeah, I'm wondering like what they'll do with that laptop. It's gonna be worth a lot. I guarantee it. There's Ordinal content on there, so it's gonna be worth a lot.
I know. That's the other thing that upset me is I'm literally I had a bunch of ordinals, so I'm transferring those just to be safe. And
Oh,
it was just a really big security thing, and I'm like, thank God it was dead, because it was dead and password protected. But you never know. I
yeah.
mean, obviously, this space is like made because of a lack of trust. So I'm like, what does happen to the laptop because it's not been registered.
I'm wondering what they do with the laptop. Like, are they just gonna keep it? Are they gonna just like give it away? And that's interesting too. Like, I have my keys, and this is probably bad. Like, I don't like. Please don't do this. And anyone's watching, I have my keys like screenshotted on my laptop, just because I'm totally right
No.
now. Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah,
This.
you just be careful in airports. I mean, I never thought that it would happen to me.
Mhm,
Um, but it's a real thing. They rushed me through and I was like,
mhm.
what am I gonna do?
I feel I don't feel bad. I haven't said the best of us. Believe me, like I've lost so many things on it. But yeah, hopefully you get that back. If there's anything you need from us, like let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you out too.
I appreciate it.
100%. And then another thing I love is like your profile picture is on point. Like it's just so good. Did you create like you create this with the project right? Misfits, which we'll talk about as well?
Yeah, so we actually have a guy, and this is something we've never actually talked about. So little bit of info on the project in this space. There's a guy that he sends us back, fantastic works of art. So that was actually all made by him. And
Wow.
then that background that you see, OG Dad, who's the co-founder in that project, he's got this app. I don't know what it is, but it's on his phone, and he'll make me these wacky backgrounds. And as soon as I went onto that project, he's like, "Hey, you know, when are you going to change your PFP?" And I'm like, "Ah, man." And he's like, "I'll get you one with a newspaper and all that stuff." And he sent it to me at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to change to it. And I've really grown to love it. I love the orange, and
Yeah.
it's very me.
It stands out. And but for those who don't know, this is OG Dad right here. This is Ordinal Misfit. And then who's this fella right here?
That is Chaz, and he's actually one of the investors in the project. It wouldn't be possible without him. He was one of the original founders, and he's sort of taken an investor role.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's cool too.
I love this. And like the art is just crazy. It's incredible. And I mean this here, like the art right here, like this perfectly depicts what I'm talking about. It's like it's a perfect kind of art. And it's the story you have, right? So like what's the story behind Ordinal Misfits? I really love the story.
So actually, OG Dad, he had come up with really all the concept, and he'd made a lot of the concept art, and he worked with artists for, gosh, I couldn't even tell you how many hours. But his whole premise is that when you tell people about crypto, or that you're in crypto, NFTs, whatever it may be, that people might call you a degen, or degenerate, or all sorts of names like that. And really, he thought about naming the project Ordinal Degens, but thought it would be a little bit nicer to go with Ordinal Misfits.
Yeah.
And the slogan, or the I guess you would say the phrase is misfits aren't misfits among other misfits. So it's sort of like
Mm.
we're really all in it together. And the project really, it's mostly a PFP project, but we offer a little bit of writing coaching in our Discord. We've got actually a blog with resources on how to create content. So we're very focused on sort of upward mobility, and transitioning people from misfits or degens in the space to people that contribute and that are more educated.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
you know a little on my profile background. I mean, for the longest time, it was really just, I don't know if I can speak French on the channel, but it was a shit posting account. And it evolved, and I grew up quite a lot, and I decided that I wanted to do something with myself in crypto, and just making content. So in a sense, it's really just changed my life. And that's one of the reasons why I had joined down the road as a co-founder, um, because I wanted to spread that sort of awareness, and really teach people how to actually make content.
I love that. I love that. And the concept is just as important as the technical side of stuff. I think having the understanding of like, what is it that we're trying to build? What is it that, is going on, and simplifying the message too. It's very simplifying it to like one sentence, right? Is equally as important. This is why I love this. And um so for those so there's a Twitter account for those of you who don't know, incredible Twitter account. I love this logo. It's so nice. Like it stands out.
That
Whose
was
idea was
actually
it?
a recent change.
I remember because you had it
We
too, right?
Yeah, we had the square for a while, and I went to OG Dad one day, and there was like, and one of the pieces of art, there was just a middle finger on the brick and spray paint. We were like, how funny would that be if we made that our logo? And he said, I actually really like that idea. He said it was honestly, we agreed that it's a bit fitting. It's not meant to be inflammatory or anything like that, but it's kind of an in your face thing, and it fits the sort of I guess you would say the sort of the paradigm that Bitcoin is, where it's away from the traditional system, and that same sense where people that are not necessarily part of the traditional system of finance, or of that belief. It's more so, I'd say, about freedom than anything.
100%, and it fits like the culture, the story, the narrative, everything about it. And I think as you pointed out, it's like like freedom is at its core, and that's really true love. I also like so you guys have 1020 pixelated misfits. Is there a story to the 1020? Why you guys chose 1020, not like 1,000, or 1040? Is there a reason? Was meaning behind 1020?
It's funny, our collection was actually 6,000, and only 1,020 of them really made the cut. So OG Dad, he's really a stickler for detail, and I mean, I give him credit for just about everything. In terms of the concept and the art, along with the artist, he has 6,000 of them on his computer,
Mhm.
and there were only 10,020 that he felt were really up to the standard. Because there's only so many traits you can make. There's only so many different things. A lot of them actually have unique traits. Like, um, I don't want to say that we're anywhere close to like Bitcoin whales, but in terms of being pixelated art and having unique traits and each misfit sort of having an identity of its own, um, he wanted to sort of limit it to that number because those were just the ones that seemed to have their own identities without sort of being redundant.
I love that. I love that. And then also if you sort of like split it like 10/20, that's October 20th. So like is that alpha? Is that like sort of a Easter egg on launch date?
I love that. That's one I hadn't thought about actually.
Hey, maybe there we go. Some alpha, guys. You hear this? Launch date 10/20. Let's go. I'm bullish on that.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
actually, yeah. Maybe it will launch on 1020.
that's a that's the thing too, like Ordinal Gazette. Like what I love about the Ordinal space right now is the stories to them, right? The stories to all these projects and like sort of the art itself. The storytelling is just as if not equally as important, really important, right?
Yeah, and we're all for rare stats too. We've got some one of ones that tell a little bit of a story. We actually have a Bit God misfit that's on a Nakamoto, and we've got a few plans for that I can't quite reveal yet, but um I'll just say that we're hoping to get some other chains involved, and that's sort of the objective is to spread that BitGod one to other people.
I love that. I love that. And you guys also host your shows on Sunday. I love them. I really love. I didn't go to the last one, but I've been to them. And the first of all, like the artistic side of like these flyers are just incredible. Um, who makes these?
That was actually the artist as well. It's
Wow.
almost like clockwork. We tell this guy, we're like, hey, could you make something? And it's weird, I've been seeing those posts lately that are like, this is the same artist. Well, this guy's a great example. It's the same guy, and he's asked that we don't mention the studio, but again, he actually is part of a professional studio, and um he was met through one of the other communities. I won't give too much away on that, but he's legitimate, and we really try no matter what to make sure that our art comes from him because we really want continuity, whether it be something that's sort of a different concept like that banner or just the pixelated art. We wanted to have some sort of continuity, and he's also a really good guy, so we enjoy giving him our business.
I love that. I love that sort of a uniform structure to it, like something that's cohesive and attached everything to it. I know you guys hold your space on Sunday. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, sort of like the idea there. And then I know we have three special guests this week, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we started um actually probably about 2 months ago now. We just started reaching out to smaller projects because some of the bigger spaces, I love them. I mean, they give some really good alpha, but they've almost become sterile.
Mhm.
And what I mean by sterile is they're the same. They're the same every week. It doesn't really there's only so many subjects that they can keep within, in a confine. You're not going to see like any sort of wacky conversation or innovation coming out. I mean, I think that that they're very educational. There's that which I love, but they're just not. They just don't have that oomph. So we started reaching out to projects that maybe don't necessarily get the level of spotlight that they deserve or any spotlight at all.
Mhm.
And we try to allow minus scam projects, which you can kind of tell what's a scam, but we
Yeah.
try to allow everyone to be on the show. And we just reach out to people every week, and people are always welcome to reach out to us. This coming week, we've got a project called Yellow that's coming on. They're a really cool PFP project, sort of around the time that the sort of bull cycle was ending. And then we've got Starfate, which I'm not too familiar, but they seem to have some good stuff going on. And Luminex, we've had Luminex on one time before, but we wanted to bring them back because the last time we spoke with them, it was sort of volume was dying out. Now we're seeing it ramp up a little bit more. So we wanted to talk to them a little bit. And we might actually have we're waiting right now on Masterworks to get back. They'd said something about being able to make it, but we're gonna see if they can actually make it. So I really would like to see them as well.
I love this. I love this. I've heard of Luminex. Are they an exchange or was like their niche?
They're actually a launch pad and minting service. They're one of the few that cropped up more recently. They're a competitor more so to, I'd say, Gamma.
Gotcha. Okay. I see. I see. Gotcha. 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 That's incredible. And like this is why I love these shows. Like as you said, it adds like sort of the tight knit sort of community culture and like it's more personal. It's way more personal than the big ones, right? Anyone's like free to like welcome to come up on stage, kind of share like their thoughts on the projects and stuff like that. And I think that's equally, if not just as valuable, right, to the entire discourse.
Oh yeah, and there's some people that are just afraid. They might have never had a space before, and we try to target the projects right out of the gate, just so that they can get a little bit of support. And we've got Discord groups that we're in that we try to add them to, just just so that people can meet the right connections. Because I think that everyone deserves a chance, and especially if someone's building something that's cool, that it's hard. And I mean, I'm sure that you understand it really well too. It's like when you're building, especially as a writer, you have to be your own PR department.
Mhm,
You have to go out there and market. You practically have to do everything.
mhm,
And it's a lot of the same with projects, but the difference is what they're doing isn't free. I mean, we can make content for free, and there is a time commitment there, which makes it less than free. But these guys are actually forking out money and putting their livelihood on the line. So we try to sort of take the pressure off by being a bit of their PR and marketing. And it's we're very blessed to get the crowd that we get every week. We have a really solid core people that show up, and I'm just glad that we're able to give people that sort of exposure and just get their name out because they already have a lot to worry about.
Yeah, 100%. I love the term. Like, I think I like to call it scrappy. Like, you have to be very scrappy in terms of how you do stuff, especially as a startup entrepreneur and like early developer. So there's that 100%. And then one of the best things I love when I do interviews with people in the space, founders, entrepreneurs, developers, people in the space itself, is sort of like sort of everyone has a different journey, a different sort of perspective of things, and they have so much to offer in terms of advice, experience, wisdom, right? With that said, like, what's one piece of advice you will offer someone who's currently building? Who's trying to get in the Ordinal space, but doesn't know what to do or how to start.
I would say ask people what they want. I mean, I I mentioned Ordinal Misfits, but I'm also now a co-founder, and I actually was a co-founder first in Ordinal Apes, which is a sub 10K project. And they have we have Ordinal Inscription 6969, which that's kind of in jeopardy.
Oh
But
no.
but like one of the things I've learned from being there, and it's hard, especially with these sub 10K projects, because they've been around the longest and have sort of, some of them have lost interest. I
Mhm,
would say that listening to communities, any time that you can go out and have a poll, or any time that you can go on spaces and sort of feel it out and sometimes be a listener instead of a talker. I think that learning what people want and what this sort of market psychology is very important because it changes incredibly quick. And I've seen a lot of projects just from writing. I've seen a lot of projects fail because they'll have a good idea and it doesn't have longevity. And they'll launch 2 weeks later after they had the good idea and it's already irrelevant. So just being able to sort of catch that curveball as it comes at you and anticipate change. Because that's the other thing is for a lot of outsiders from other chains, they think that it's a way that they can suck liquidity out of the system, or maybe not even always. You know, maybe they are a legitimate project and they want to mint. Um, the dynamics here are a lot different. It's a different market. It's a different foundation. Do your own research is my best advice.
I love that. Love that. Thank you so much for sharing that wisdom, that piece of advice there. And it's true. It's very true. Like, a lot of it, starts with just listening, right? Being there, listening on the community, on the collectors, artists, and everything. I really appreciate you being here, like doing this space. I know we have a couple minutes, so we're gonna have to wrap this up in a second on Zoom. But like, I really appreciate you, Ordinal Gazette, for doing this with me. I'm going to drop all the info down below for anyone watching, so you'll have his links, his Twitter, his newsletter. Please check out his newsletter; it's so good. It's really nice. With that being said, any final words from your end?
Yeah, for the audience, check out Ordinal Hive. I mean, dude, you're killing it. And I remember coming across your newsletter and I admire everything that you're doing. In terms of short form, I think you're the king. And,
Thank you.
there's this space is starting to evolve to become much more mature. And I really appreciate the fact that you're out there every week just killing it. And you haven't stopped. You've stayed true to your newsletter. So, anyone that can plug in and be educated, there's plenty of good news out there, and you're definitely at the forefront of that. So I appreciate what you're doing too.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that, Ordinal Gazette, and thank you once again for being here. Definitely follow your project closely. I'm definitely going to wait for that. I can't wait for the main. I want a PFP project, and this is it. This is the first one that I really really like everything about it. Thanks for doing this with me. If you need anything, let me know, and hopefully you can get laptop back too. I think that's
Dude, I hope, but I appreciate it too, and keep rocking, man.
appreciate it.